Hi everyone, I'm Rebecca. I'm the Finance and Administrator for the Climate Fourth project. I've been with the project since 2022 in its development phase, and we're now in our delivery phase. Climate Fourth is the current project of the Inner Forth Futures Partnership, and you'll be able to see the organisations on the next screen that make up that partnership. The fourth in Climate Fourth stands for Furthering Our Resilience Through Heritage, and we've been piloting various activities under this project since August 2023. This webinar is titled Communicating about Climate Resilience, and will focus on how we've piloted communications through the delivery phase since that August date. Before we finish today, I'll share details of any upcoming webinars that we have over the following months. And in a moment, I will hand over to Lara, Climate Fourth's comms officer, to present through the whole slides. But just before I do that, there's a few housekeeping things. So as Laura's mentioned, this session is being recorded. So if you don't want to be on screen, please feel free to turn your cameras off at any point. The purpose of the recording is to upload to our YouTube channels in the future and use this as a learning and a legacy resource for the project. Please keep yourselves muted unless, of course, you're asking a question at any point. Please feel free to use the chat, and I'll keep an eye on that throughout the whole time. So if there's any tech issues or anything like that, I can do my best to help out. And finally, Laura's presentation will be followed by a question and answer session. So if you've got any question and answers, please just pop them in the Q&A section at any point during the whole presentation, and we'll pick them up at the end. So that's everything from me. And I think I missed one slide, sorry. Over to Laura.
Thanks so much, Rebecca. Yeah, lovely to have so many of you here, and I think there should be some more people joining. So if we could just admit them, that'd be great, Rebecca. I'm Laura, and I'm the comms officer for Climate Fourth project. Like Rebecca, we've been working on Climate Fourth since the beginning. And today I want to share some learnings just about how we've tackled communications throughout the delivery phase. Some things have worked, some things not so much. We are definitely not claiming to know everything about communication or communicating about climate resilience, but hopefully there will be some handy, helpful tips that you might be able to pick up and think about in your work going forward. Yeah. So Climate Fourth, one of the first steps for me was to ensure that I knew the key audience groups that we had to focus on through our activities and communications. And for Climate Fourth project, we were looking at target audience groups, including young people between 14 and 26 years of age, local businesses and social community enterprises, local communities, and then also the lowest 20% of SIMD data zones located in our project area. So that's the Scottish Index of Multiple Deprivation, and it's an index used by Scottish Government to identify areas of multiple deprivation. And I'm just realising that there are people joining from not just in Scotland, so just to let you know where the Fourth is located. Climate Fourth is based between Stirling. Our project area goes between Stirling and the Forth Bridges, so we are kind of in central, kind of going towards the East Scotland. And the Forth is an estuary, starts as a river and goes into the Forth estuary. So yeah, just to give you a bit of geographical location there if you're not familiar with the area. And the next thing that I wanted to make sure that obviously I was paying attention to was the aims of the project and our communications, and I kept referring back to these aims just to keep me on track. So our project aims are to empower and inspire action in Inner Forth across communities, businesses and heritage, and to show that climate change, climate resilience is needed locally for the inevitable environmental changes ahead. We wanted to showcase to people that local action can make a difference, that heritage is a tool that can be used to build resilience. And we also wanted to be as accessible and inclusive as possible for a wide audience reach. Another thing I wanted to think about before we even started was how we're going to communicate with people and what kind of tone of voice we're going to use. And I guess for any communication on climate subjects, climate resilience, clarity and consistency is really important in the messaging, and the branding is also important across all platforms. We needed to establish a relationship with our audience, so it was important to get this right from the start and be consistent. So throughout things that we've done, we have sought to use simple, clear language with relevant tweaks to suit different platforms and audiences. We created a simple tagline for describing a very wide and varied project. And our tagline is Climate Force works with communities, businesses, and partners to build climate resilience through heritage. As I said, we adapt and tweak across different platforms, but always keep our core messaging strong. And we know too that climate is an emotive and sensitive topic. So we are always aware of how we say things, what we say, because we don't want to increase climate anxiety and we don't claim to know everything about the topic. We don't want to appear preachy, rather, we come from a place of providing information. And through engaging with a wide range of our activities, we hope that people will have conversations with us, and that's how people can eventually become involved with our activities. We also make regular reference to the fact that we're a pilot project and that we're all learning as much as everybody else is learning as well. So yeah, that's just something that we have tried to hammer home when we're doing our interaction with people. So what methods have we used to reach people? And you know, there are probably no surprises here. Advertising, online, print and radio. We use our website. We have a YouTube channel. We've done lots of face-to-face events. We collaborate with our partners. We have done traditional press, so press releases, magazine advertising, social media. We are on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. We were on X, but we aren't on there anymore. And we also have a project newsletter to get to people who aren't really active on social platforms. So I wanted to share things that have worked for us, and this is not necessarily, you know, saying that it'll work for all of you or work for everything, because I know that every project is unique and different. But the things that work really well for us. Top thing probably to note would be using influencers. We used two influencers so far throughout the project. A woman called Less Waste Laura. She's a sustainability enthusiast and she has a big following on Instagram and Facebook. And we use Marcus Stitz for promoting our Inner Forth bike bus on social media channels and YouTube. So we collaborated on social media posts together, therefore exposing our post to their followers and vice versa. We also had Mark Beaumont, who's an ambassador for one of our partners. He gave us a quotation which went out to his followers on social media and our followers too. We chose these particular influencers because their values closely align with those of our project, and that's probably a key message when you're using influencers. Just do a bit of due diligence and just check that their values align with what you're trying to communicate, and that they're not controversial, or maybe you do want them to be controversial, I don't know. But yeah, we felt like their followers would be receptive to our activity and vice versa, that they would be positive co-promotion opportunities. Yes, so first of all, I wanted to show you the video that we got Marcus Stitz, he's cycled around the world, he is a writer, he is an overall cycling guru, and we used him to promote our Inner Forth bike bus. You'll find out more about this. I'm going to play you a little video that he made for us, just as an example. Yeah, so really high quality content there, which Marcus provided for us to promote the Inner Forth bike bus. And in season one, we were trying to encourage people to take the bike bus to, to find a more sustainable way to travel around the Inner Forth landscape, but also to explore the kind of unknown heritage and the lesser known heritage of the area. But people weren't really hopping on the bus in year one so much. Um, so I think like this video really helped people to see what the bus was about, what you could get up to if you used the bus, and just having that visual, that visual content that shows people what it is and what how they can take it has been really, really helpful. And a similar vein, we also got Laura, who goes under the name Less Waste Laura on Instagram, to do a little short video for us. I'll play that for you now as another example. Yeah, so just to give you an idea, the combined reach of Laura and Marcus's videos, it was over 100,000 of their followers on social media, and then Marcus has 6,000 YouTube views on that film, and Laura had something like 3 or 4 thousand on her channel. So we were reaching a much wider audience than we would if we had just put that on our Climate Force YouTube or our Climate Force socials. So yeah, just it's been. I'm sorry to say it almost, but it's been a really, really big thing for us that using influencers has really, really worked, and it's been a surprise for me, and something that yeah I would definitely recommend you do if you're able to and you're allowed to. Okay, moving on. What else has worked then? Obviously, traditional press, can't ignore it. We've had consistently loyal support in our local newspapers in the area, as well as featuring in nationals such as the Glasgow Herald and the Times. Every press release that we've sent to local papers has been picked up, helping us to find a voice within the community. And we've worked really hard to keep these relationships with journalists active. One of our influencers, Marcus, who made the video, he's also a writer, and he was able to get us a slot in the travel section of the Times during our promotion of the Inner Forth bike bus. So that was an added bonus of actually connecting up with him as well. And as well as the print, we featured on the social media and websites of local news outlets. So we tapped into the online readers and audiences there too, which is great. As we're a partnership, as Rebecca was explaining earlier as well, we kind of took advantage of this, and each of our partners has a communications department, so we made sure that we were connecting in with them and having calls with them and keeping them up to date on our activities. So one of our partners Historic Environment Scotland, they featured our bike bus and round the inner Forth route in their readers magazine, which went out to a lot of people. We also approached our partners for co-promotion opportunities, both in their magazines, publications, newsletters, and doing combined posts on social media. We've also reached out to a lot of other local organisations. For instance, for our sustainable travel, we've worked with Welcome to Fife, we've worked with Forth Environment Link, and they have shared information on our activities. And I think making good connections with complementary groups, businesses, and organisations definitely makes promotional sense in this day and age. And we found certainly that, as well as building it makes promotional sense, but it also builds communities where people help each other and spread the word. Again, our lead partner is RSPB, and the first example there is a piece that we put in the RSPB Scotland magazine that went out to the readership about us doing the round the inner Forth cycle route in the area. And similarly, we are funded by National Lottery Heritage Fund, so they would always share our posts. So you're just always trying to increase the reach. It is a lot of work, but just trying to jump on every opportunity that presents itself to increase your reach has been a really good approach for us. Also, we used online advertising and boosted our own content on our social media platforms. The first example there, the Scottish Farmer, we identified opportunities to use different but similar audiences from ours, and that's definitely helped us to reach more people. So when we teamed up with the Scottish Farmer, it's a trusted farm publication here in Scotland, for those of you who don't necessarily know about it. We teamed up with them for an online Facebook campaign to promote our contractor training skill sessions. And these were really difficult to promote, these sessions, because we were trying to reach contractors, land managers, to upskill them in more climate-friendly land management approaches. And it was just really difficult to get to the right people. So we felt that the Scottish Farmer would be one to try. And it returned really good positive results, which are listed there. We also had an ad in the Physical magazine, which has a readership of 12,000 per week. So that boosted attendance at the last 3 events that we promoted with them, which is good. Also boosted content on Instagram has really increased our engagement on that platform, with many follows, with the amount of engagement that we've got on there. People definitely do well on socials, and I've done a lot of social media training this year, and the key message that I've taken away is that, yeah, people buy from people. So much as it is very cringy at times, it's very effective to get the team and get your team in front of the camera and just do some short pieces to camera, short video reels. That's worked really well for us, and it's led to people across our audience groups taking part in voting, coming along to events, taking part in photography competitions and more. So that's been a really good approach for us. We also use customized social media assets, such as the one there, Tell Us What You Value in Hawkhill, which is one of the communities that we worked with to formulate local resilience plans. So doing these customized call outs on social media, that worked quite well. It increased participation in our activities. And it kind of just makes a community, it just makes them feel valued and like their voice is important, and then we're trying to speak and connect directly with them as well. Move into the next slide. And just a few other approaches. Like I mentioned, we have a newsletter to catch people not on social media. We also, despite trying to save paper, we still do have physical comms products. We've got a briefing note. We've got some merchandise. We have some route cards for our sustainable cycling day trips, and we have local resilience plans as well. And we've got some merchandise, which is good to take along to events. We also do lots of face-to-face events, and I think those are great for engagement, and those meet the team opportunities are always a way to hook people in, maybe with a fun activity or something that they're interested in, and then we can then have the conversation about climate resilience and building resilience, which maybe they didn't originally come to us for that conversation, but we can sort of tweak and get the conversation to go the way we want it to as well. We have tried to be as accessible in our comms products as well, just using like high contrast in our text and in our colours and our print, and just be as aware, just to make like using materials that don't have as much glare, like not shiny. We use matte paper so that people can be as accessible as possible. Again, I think the main takeaway for me is being adaptable and tweaking to different setups all the time. We wouldn't do a briefing to a number of local authority councillors in the same format as a family event at a science fair. So it's constantly about thinking about your audience and what they potentially are going to want from you. So what hasn't worked so well? I would say the things, yeah, no one size fits all when it comes to working with communities, to working and communicating about climate resilience. So the things that haven't worked so well have been, for instance, example one, and like I said, season one of our Inner Forth bike bus. It was really tough to get numbers. Our numbers were quite low. We didn't meet our targets. We tried to advertise on the radio on Central FM. So we ran an ad there. We also took out advertising in a local magazines, but these had little impact and they didn't increase the amount of passengers on the bus. However, the videos that I showed you earlier, they really were helpful in getting the word of mouth and showing people what to expect when they went on the bus. There were clear instructions on how to take the bus with suggestions of day trip activities at each stop. So we were trying to make it as easy as possible for people to use the service. Last year, that we saw the number of people using the bike bus increase, and this year we are running a third season and we're adding tour guides to elevate the passenger experience as well. So yeah, it's been a bit of a learning curve, but hopefully we are there now. And I think again, just having to continuously tweak our communications, it can be very time consuming, and there's never enough time, to be honest. Another example, we were holding climate conversations across the Inner Forth area, and these were to get community groups thinking about how they can make their communities more resilient. If they look after a local garden, a local green space, a local building, what are the things that they're going to need to be thinking about in the future to make that asset more resilient? So we just set up, like a lot of our other events, we started to set up boosted posts on social media, except we came up against a problem because we were unable to do paid advertising on social media for these, as they were considered special category events because they were mentioning climate, and we aren't verified as a project. Verification on social media means uploading your documents to your personal documents to Meta, which none of us were very keen on doing. So it meant we couldn't boost those events. So we had to do a more traditional run around physical landscape, putting up posters, doing leafleting, and just organic social media posts, as well as press releases, hoping to get into the local newspapers. So that was probably one of the trickiest event series to promote. And finally, another issue or another tricky one was Pay It Forth, which is a giving scheme that we set up to encourage local businesses to help us to raise funds to put back into heritage and climate resilience activities in the area. So we did lots of call outs on social media to get businesses involved. We did more press releases, we did videos, but it was really, really tricky. So the best method for getting businesses signed up to take part in this was actually doing presentations at local business networking events, business breakfasts, local chamber of commerce and business support organisations. And Mirren in our team has done a great job of getting lots of businesses on board. Anyone who is involved in comms and PR knows that there's always times when things get tricky. And I think one of the biggest challenges on this project was dealing with community relations following a set of resilience improvement works that we did at a park in Grangemouth called Rannoch Park. And we did it with two members of our partnership at this local green space. So the work that we did there, you can see in the picture, we planted lots of trees. We installed scrapes and swales because the park was really prone to flooding, and it was actually preventing people from using the area. So that was something that we wanted to work to address. And we also wanted to put in nice picnic benches, shaded areas for people who live in the surrounding area. There's a lot of flats in the area, so people don't necessarily have a garden. And that was the picture there, I think was how it looked maybe last summer. Yeah, last summer. However, the winter came and we discovered that there had been a blocked drainage pipe and the whole area started to flood, which was obviously the opposite of what our resilience works wanted to do. So it did expose us and our partners to some negativity on social media and in person events about the efficacy of our climate resilience works. But we handled things. How did we handle things? We did good communication. We liaised with our partner, comms departments at all times. We put out shared statements, reassuring the public that we were investigating the issue. And we just kept the line of communication open. We offered an email address for them if they wanted to get in touch with any concerns. And thankfully, the drainage issue has been resolved, the blockage has been removed, and the park is returning to how it looked in that picture. So yeah, there were a couple of tricky moments, but yeah, we got there in the end. And then just reflecting on if I could do anything differently, what would those things be? And I think for me, like if I had known how successful using influencers and content creators would be, then I would have done it much earlier in the project. I probably would have found out earlier about the difficulties in boosting special event categories on social media. Because I had just never come up against that at all in other roles and in other activities. And I think as well, I would get the team in front of the camera earlier on as we've watched our social media stats really increase with that increase in video content. And one thing that none of us can control is just have more time to play around and really monitor the impacts of the different methods that we've tried out. Yeah, so I think that brings us to the question and answer section. Rebecca? I think, Rebecca, you're on.
Sorry,
Yeah.
thought I hit it, didn't hit it. So if anyone has got any questions from there, feel free to put your hand up or post it in the chat. We've got a few that came in ahead of the session, and they are incredibly tiny on my screen, so give me a second. I will look at them over here instead. Yeah, there's nothing that's come through just yet, Laura, so I'm just going to go through this slide at first, and I'll keep an eye on it if it does come through. So question one, what are the biggest challenges when communicating about climate resilience?
I think I think from this is all from our point of view and what we found. Um, I think it's getting people to it's meeting people where they are and getting them to think about what climate resilience looks like in their life and in their community and make it sort of specific to where they are in their life. For instance, the fourth is, the fact that we are on the river, we're on the estuary. There are lots of communities that are already experiencing flooding, and the various effects of climate change. So I think trying to make it relevant to them, you need to kind of make it relevant to them. And I think, it's like I said, it's coming over as less preachy and just kind of making it fun, not fun, but yeah, trying to gauge them and hook them in with something that they can identify with and connect with. So I think that's quite difficult. I think there's another question coming actually.
Yeah, can you see that one, or do you want me to read
I
it
think
to
I
you?
can. Can I actually take control because I've got my
Yes.
notes on that?
Yeah, you go for it.
Yeah. I think as well, like just returning to that kind of first one, the challenges when communicating about climate resilience, it's like the censorship by social media companies and not being able to actually talk about it, which is absolutely, to me, shocking. So trying to pitch your communications right for different audience groups. You don't want to be the source of climate anxiety or burnout as well. Many people are also tired of hearing about climate change and tuning out to those messages. Um, so yeah, I think those are the main ones on that one, I think. Um, yeah,
So you've got
actually.
a question from Elijah. It says,
Yeah.
what has been a real comms highlight of the project so far?
Oh, I think a comms highlight. It was, I think for me, it was the like the kind of the light came on when I realized that a lot of the local newspapers were really interested in hearing about what the project was doing, and I wasn't sure how it would be received, if I'm being honest, because as we know, climate change and climate resilience, they are kind of, yeah, it can be emotive, it can be controversial. Not everybody believes in certain things, so I wasn't sure how the project would be received locally, but it was really just a positive reaction, to be honest. And I think having a piece in the Times was fantastic as well. That Marcus Stitz helped us to get a piece in the Times about our bike bus and about our rebranded cycle route. I would say those ones were really, yeah, they were probably highlights, I think, for me, that I can think of. There's been so many highlights, I think, as well, just in terms of the variety and the breadth of this job is just never ending, and it's such an interesting area to be working in. And it's also such an interesting time to be working in comms because everything changes so fast. So yeah, I'd say those are all highlights from my personal point of view.
There's a couple questions in the chat as well. Anna's asked, how do you find communicating more everyday actions like saving water, energy, food waste, etc., or is that outside the remit of this?
Um, yeah, I mean, I guess that it slightly is outside the remit of Climate Fourth, but we are present at lots of events with people who do an amazing job of this, like our Fourth Environment Link do an amazing job in communicating about these elements. I think for us, it's more about our key focus is like how people can build resilience through heritage, through sustainable travel. If you're a business, how can you make things a little bit more sustainable and a little bit greener? So yeah, that particular one probably isn't something I could answer loads about. Can I expand on the limitations? Is it just because you wanted to mention climate? Yeah, I think that's it. We did some research and we also found that a lot of our partners weren't able to speak about climate change events unless they were verified. And again, I think a lot of the local councils who are our partners, they are all verified on Facebook, on Instagram, because they wouldn't be able to promote or boost a lot of the stuff that they usually do. But it just wasn't something that the team wanted to do, like upload your own personal private documents to Meta. Just didn't feel like something that any of us wanted to do. So yeah, we tried the limitations. We realized that that was an issue because we didn't have any issues with any of our other events. It was only when we mentioned climate action, climate resilience, that it would get rejected as they would get rejected as ads. Yeah. I'm looking at Brock's as well, but I am curious how big factor heritage was and why people initially wanted to do a cycle loop. I think it is a big factor. I think cycling is the number one factor because cycling is massive. Cyclists are massively enthusiastic, and it's like so much part of a lifestyle. And yeah, so I would say that the loop appealed to cyclists just because they like cycling a nice route. But I think the fact that there are so many hidden heritage gems in the inner Forth, and if you don't know the inner Forth area, you really should visit it. It's unbelievable. You know, you have the kind of honeypot tourism sites like the Kelpies, you have the Forth Bridges, you have Stirling Castle, but you also have amazing off the beaten track heritage. So I think that the heritage was a big element in why people wanted to cycle the loop. I think it's a very pretty route to do. It's a very interesting route to do. It's an all season cycle route. So I mean, I went and did some of it in October, November. So it's a year round route that people can do. So I think there are lots of factors involved in why it's popular. But yeah, I mean, there's no denying that the heritage of the Inner Forth is a massive selling point. Massive selling point.
I'd also add to that we chose the stopping locations so that they were close to some of these heritage sites, and particularly the lesser known heritage sites. We put some of the Kelpies ones in and things like that to draw people in and sort of grab the attention. But yeah, various stops are at lesser known sites or very close to, like a couple minutes walk or a few minutes ride. And also in terms of it being hard to know, we did ask for the first two seasons for the drivers of the buses to hand out feedback forms so we could gauge this sort of information. Unfortunately, that was a bit too much to ask on top of driving and chatting to customers and putting bikes on. So as Laura mentioned, we've now got tour guides. So hopefully our feedback from season 3 will be much more, there'll be a lot more quality and a lot more narrative, hopefully, because we got the amount of users we got a very low percentage of feedback in the first 2 seasons. So that's something we're trying to rectify and learn from as well as we go forward. Yeah. Laura, that's it in terms of questions that have come through, and we are at 12:45. Did you want to carry on with the questions we've got, or do we want to call it?
Yeah, I'll just answer a couple more of those ones on there. Sure. Let me have a wee look.
Yeah, do you want to pick the ones?
Yeah, I'm just having a little look. I think really one of the things as well is just to kind of like avoid overwhelm and fear, but still convey urgency. That's quite a good one. So yeah, like I said, meet people on their level, what is relevant, important to them, give them the facts that are relevant to their own area and show them what is likely going to happen in the future. But also empower them to take part in local community action, start small, turn the fear into a call for actions, and show them that communities can affect and change things. And I think, I think it's like remaining that sort of sense of hope, retaining that sense of hope. And I guess the willingness of communities to have a say in their future has been one of the highlights of this project as well. There are lots of amazing communities in our area doing work for nothing and giving up their time for nothing. So I think that's all been really, really inspiring. I think in terms of...
Jump in, Laura, sorry. Yeah. I was just going to say, I think one of the things that we've been very, very conscious of is providing, particularly communities, but everyone involved, providing them the opportunity for it to come from them and it to be there, like for them to have ownership over the choices. And I think that then becomes a bit empowering, and you then in turn care a bit more about what you're sort of being asked to be involved in. We've always tried not to come in and behave as experts, because we are very much not that. As we say, we are piloting everything. But we've been very, very conscious that the communities and other people that we engage with should be leading these conversations. So as Laura said, that then helps you get onto their level, because we're constantly listening to their thoughts, their opinions, their needs.
Yeah, definitely. And again, like which tools or formats are most effective? They're all effective, but you just need to tweak. You just need to tweak them. And I think really for me, I think the biggest thing that I am now doing as a daily task is creating video content, because I think it's the way that people consume information now. It's certainly the way that younger generations are consuming information and finding their information. So I would say that video is definitely been so effective, but nothing beats a face-to-face as well. So yeah, and I think the motivation, the last one, what motivates people, what motivates individuals and organisations to prepare, it's just the same. It's to make it relevant to them and to tell them how it's likely to affect them going forward. And on the Forth Estuary, there are already there's coastal erosion, there's flooding, there's lots of associated effects. But the actions that we've seen taken in communities do show that there is hope, and that there are things that can be done. So I think that's the overall overriding message: is balance the negative with the positive and keep ploughing on. I think there's someone typing in the chat, so we'll see if anything else comes through. But if anyone does need to go, feel free to hop off, and we will be sharing a recording of this if you want to watch anything back. And likewise, if there's anything you want to pick my brains on, or Rebecca's, or any of the Climate Forth team, do get in touch. We are going to be delivering the project until October, and if there's anything that we can help with, do just let us know. Oh, thank you. Thanks very much for coming along. That's amazing. And also, if you would like to do a feedback form, we would love to know your thoughts. So we'll be sending a link out as well. So yeah, just some comments coming through. Thank you. That's lovely. Flexibility. Yep, definitely. Anna's been avoiding social media. Yep, I do in my personal life. I'm not going to lie. Sadly, I think it's the way forward. Oh, thank you, Eliza. Yeah, so do get in touch. Rebecca's actually got the information on upcoming webinars. So if you want to come along to future ones, I think she's got a list of them, and we will send them out in the email with the feedback form as well.